The Apex had cataloged every weapon humanity possessed. Their intelligence networks had dissected human warfare across 3 centuries. Nuclear fission, kinetic bombardments, plasma rifles, neural disruptors, and the dreaded antimatter charges that had scorched the moons of Kepler 442. Commander Thrix had personally overseen the tactical assessments. Humans were dangerous, yes, but predictable. They fought with metal and fire, with logic wrapped in fury. But on the forest moon of Valeron 7, Thrix witnessed something that would rewrite the Apex Codex forever. Rena Vale hadn't expected to find the cub. She'd been surveying the northern quadrant, her scanner humming softly as she mapped mineral deposits for the terraforming teams. The war with the Apex Confederation had reached a tentative ceasefire 3 months prior, and Earth's colonial expansion had resumed cautiously. Valeron 7 was supposed to be uninhabited, just another rock with breathable air and promising geology. The cry changed everything. It was high-pitched, desperate, cutting through the emerald canopy like a blade. Rena's hand went instinctively to her sidearm before her mind caught up with her training. That wasn't a threat sound. That was pain. She found it in a clearing where the trees gave way to moss-covered stone. The cub was small, no larger than a terrier, with 6 legs and bioluminescent stripes along its flanks that pulsed weakly. Its species was unknown to her, some native fauna the surveys had missed. One of its hind legs was caught in the jagged teeth of what looked like an old maintenance drone, half buried and still faintly powered, its mechanisms grinding slowly. The cub's golden eyes locked onto Rena. It didn't flee. It simply whimpered. Commander Thrix's reconnaissance drone had been tracking the human for 47 minutes. Standard protocol during the ceasefire: observe, document, do not engage. The human female, designated Rena Vale, had exhibited typical survey behavior: methodical movement, periodic scanner usage, environmental sample collection. Then she deviated. Thrix watched through the drone's optical feed as Vale approached the indigenous creature. The Apex had documented this species, Lumina vulpes, a non-sentient mammaloid with limited defensive capabilities, irrelevant to tactical considerations. The drone's sensors captured Vale's elevated heart rate, the chemical markers of stress hormones in her breath. Threat response, Thrix noted. The human would likely eliminate the creature or retreat. She did neither. Rena knelt slowly, keeping her movements smooth. "Hey, little one," she whispered, though she knew it couldn't understand. "I've got you." The cub's breathing was rapid, panicked. The drone's mechanisms had partially severed the leg, not completely, but enough that infection would set in quickly if left untreated. Blood, darker than she expected, pooled beneath the twisted metal. Her hands moved to the drone's casing. The edges were sharp, and she felt the bite of metal against her palm as she tried to pry the mechanism open. The cub yelped, and Rena felt something crack inside her chest. I'm sorry, she breathed. "I'm trying to help." Her fingers slipped. Blood, her own, now mixed with the cub's as she worked. The drone's ancient circuits sparked, and suddenly the teeth released. The cub collapsed onto the moss, free but barely conscious. Rena gathered the small creature into her arms. It was warm, trembling. She could feel its rapid heartbeat against her chest, could see the fear in those golden eyes dimming toward shock. And then, without warning, without permission, Rena Vale began to cry. Commander Thrix leaned forward, his 3-fingered hand gripping the edge of the observation console. The human was leaking, not blood. The Apex biological database identified the substance immediately. Tears, a saltwater solution produced by human lacrimal glands, typically in response to pain, emotional distress, or foreign matter in the optical organs. A weakness, a vulnerability, but Vale wasn't wounded. The minor laceration on her hand was insufficient to produce this response. Thrix magnified the feed. Vale's face was contorted, her breathing irregular. Her arms cradled the Lumina vulpes, as though it were precious cargo. Her vocalizations were soft, rhythmic, what humans called soothing sounds. "Please don't die," Vale whispered to the creature. "Please. You're so small." The tears fell onto the cub's luminescent fur. And something impossible happened. The creature's breathing steadied. Its eyes opened wider, whether from Vale's warmth, her scent, or some ineffable comfort in her presence. The cub relaxed against her. Thrix watched as Vale tore strips from her own uniform, carefully binding the wounded leg with trembling hands. She administered a general analgesic from her field kit medication meant for humans, possibly toxic to the creature, but she took the risk anyway. She whispered constantly, her tears never stopping. "I'll get you somewhere safe. I promise. You're going to be okay." 3 hours later, Thrix entered the Apex Council chambers. The 7 high commanders regarded him with the patient stillness of beings who had evolved beyond unnecessary movement. "Your report, Commander?" "High Prime." Zalara's voice resonated through the crystalline walls. Thrix activated the holographic display. The footage played in silence. Vale finding the cub, the struggle with the drone, the tears, the desperate binding of wounds, the long trek back to her base camp, with the creature held against her chest. "Analysis suggests," Thrix began, his voice carrying an unfamiliar tension, "that we have failed to catalog humanity's most dangerous weapon." Murmurs rippled through the council. High Prime Zalara's optical clusters narrowed. "Explain." "We have documented their explosives, their tactical ruthlessness, their capacity for sustained violence. But we have not adequately assessed their capacity for empathy across species boundaries." Thrix paused, choosing his words with precision. This human, Vale, risked injury and resource expenditure for a creature that offers no strategic value, no pack loyalty, no reciprocal benefit. She wept for its suffering. "Tears are a weakness," Commander Vex interjected. "Emotional instability." "No," Thrix said quietly. "Tears are a weapon we cannot counter." The chamber fell silent. "They will weep for their enemies' children," Thrix continued. "They will exhaust their medical supplies on species they have just met. They will break their own bodies to free a creature in pain. This is not weakness. This is a force that binds disparate species to their cause. This is why they build alliances while we build armadas." High Prime Zalara was silent for a long moment. Finally, she spoke. "Add it to the codex. Tears. Empathy. Compassion across species lines. Mark it as Sacred Arsenal category unknown." Rena Vale never knew she had been observed. She nursed the cub back to health over 3 weeks, eventually releasing it back into the Valeron forests, where it bounded away with only a slight limp. But across the galaxy, in the secure archives of the Apex Confederation, a new entry appeared in their threat assessment of humanity. Warning: humans possess tears. Do not underestimate their power.